Okay, here we go. It's video. Okay, so I'm Catherine, and I'm going to be your OT today. Have you heard about OT before?
Oh, yes, I'm a nurse.
Oh, awesome.
So I've had some experience with OT students from here when I was working. I worked at the hospital in Sanford, small hospital in Sanford, which is no longer open. But we had PT and OT students both from here. So,
Awesome.
and now I'm currently having PT at a business in Waterboro, and they off and on have PT students. Not, they don't do OT there.
Yeah.
PT students. They have PT students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what an OT does, so you know what it is, and so we just like to involve engaging people in meaningful activities so that they can get back to doing what they want to do in their life.
And I have had OT, what should I call it? Not services, but OT visits in the past.
Oh, yeah?
Had OT when I was at New England Rehab, and then I had OT a couple of times after I got home. I really needed PT more than I did OT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question on our little form here is tell me about some like past and present life roles. So as you talked about your past, you were a nurse, and then like what you do right now. So for example, like what do you do for hobbies? What do you do for work? That kind of stuff.
So I went to nursing school at Maine Medical in Portland, and most of my beginning nursing after graduation was in obstetrics. And then after that, I was in a obstetric nurse for about 5 years, and then it was medical surgical. And I moved from the, excuse me, the hospital in Bedford to the hospital in Sanford, where I did my med surgical stuff. And I was there, believe it or not, almost 40 years.
Wow.
And did a variety of things, actual patient care and supervising and discharge planning and some social service kind of stuff. And so it was, somebody said you were there so long you were stuck in a rut. No, I wasn't. If I'd been stuck in a rut, I would have left. And so I retired like at the end of 2003, and have kept in touch with a lot of friends from work. I have not a huge family, but a very wonderful, supportive family. And I currently live by myself, so I have a pretty good sized piece of property to take care of, lawns, and I burn some wood in the winter. So this time of year, well, more in the fall, I will work on having enough wood. I sew, I knit, I decorative paint. I make quilts for the Linus Project. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
The Linus Project is a nationwide project that distributes quilts to children who are terminally ill, have had a serious illness, have lost a parent or a sibling, homeless, hundreds of those quilts every year. So I make quilts for them. And I like to cook. I have a sister to whom I am very close. She's 4 years younger than I am, just the two of us. And we both like to cook, collect recipes, read cookbooks, try new things. We have a family dinner once a week, and so lots of times we'll try something new at that. The family dinner can be anywhere from 6 to a dozen people, depending on who's working where and doing what. And I keep my days pretty busy. I read. I don't watch TV much anymore because there's not anything worth watching. I do watch the news usually. I like to see the weather, but summer TV is not good for much.
Yeah.
And you probably don't have time to watch TV anyway.
Busy.
Yeah. Now I know you're the interviewer here, but do you go to school all summer?
Yeah.
You do?
All summer, yeah. So I actually went to UNE for my undergrad, and I just finished my undergrad and then I came right into the OT program at UNI. So I was on the Bedford campus for my 4 years, and then
So
the
you're a
OT.
graduate student now?
Yes, I'm a
Yeah.
graduate student.
So I just was recently part of the Matter of Balance program, which had 3 grad OT students in it, all who graduated in May.
Yeah.
And that was in conjunction with Southern Maine Area Agency on Aging. So that's how I found out about this thing. Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Yeah. So then I hopped right back into it. I went right into school. I had like 10 days off, and then I went right back into a graduate program. And then we're done for the summer, the 16th, and then we go back again in the fall on the 28th of August. So we don't have much time off.
No. So how long a program is that, Catherine?
So it's 2 years.
2 years.
So it's 2 years full time. So it's summer, fall, spring, and then one more summer, fall, spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else can I tell you? Have I told you enough?
I think you got me going good for the first question.
Yeah.
I guess you can talk about describing a typical day during the week. You said that you like to read and watch the news and the weather, but
Yeah, I have a couple of cats, and sometimes and they're a big company to me, these 2 cats. First time I've ever had cats. And my husband died almost 4 years ago and really did not like cats. So there were no cats as long as he was there. And anyway, so on a typical day, unless I have if I have appointments, I like them to be early in the morning. But if I don't have an early morning appointment, I get up. Oh, anyway, 6, usually lots of times in good weather. 7, have some coffee, read the paper, feed the cats. I have a bunch of exercises that I do every day. And I'm currently going to PT a couple of times a week to try to increase my strength and help my balance. I have such poor balance. Poor balance is my biggest problem. And so, and I might work outside and mow some lawn. I might, on a rainy day, I would sew probably or read. Of course, there's always the dread housework. Put that on only so long, and cook maybe in a typical day, and sometimes go out to breakfast with a friend or 2. Lunch. We have a regular Friday lunch at a local small restaurant, and there's anywhere from a dozen of us to sometimes 20 if somebody's got company, and that's kind of fun. That's very fun, actually.
Definitely. Good to get in and talk to people and stuff like that.
And because if you go there every week, you always see somebody you know.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
and it's where I live is rural, small town area. So.
Okay, so what do you enjoy about your daily routines?
Almost everything. Almost everything, Catherine.
That's great. Good.
That sounds kind of a Pollyanna-ish, like everything's wonderful. I don't mean it that way, but fortunately, I don't right at the moment have a lot of things to do that I don't enjoy doing. Come winter, and tending a wood stove is kind of not always fun, but that's not all. That's not now, of course.
Yeah. So that goes into the next question, but like, what is dissatisfying? Because you kind of answered that. There's not really much, but
say it again.
What is dissatisfying about your routines?
What is dissatisfying about it? Well, the only thing dissatisfying about it is on occasion, I wish I had somebody to talk to besides my kitties sometimes. And I don't know that I can really say that I'm lonely, but sometimes the quiet gets to me. A radio or a CD doesn't really get to it. And I do like music. I love music, especially country music.
Oh, me too.
I have a lot of country CDs, and I listen to them sometimes, but sometimes it just needs to be something more.
Yeah.
So that would be the dissatisfying thing, I guess, about a day is the being alone. And most of the time, it's hard to describe because most of the time I'm fine alone. But once in a while, I just
It hits you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
wish I had somebody.
like enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I do have friends I can call, and I do lots of times. My best friend lives, oh, I don't know, 20 minutes from me, maybe. And I don't see her every day, but I usually talk to her every day. She calls me or I call her, one or the other. We worked together for a long time.
My notes are so messy.
She's part of that Friday lunch group.
Oh yeah. So you see her at least once.
Yes, yes.
And do you just hang out with her if sometimes
Yeah, sometimes she comes to the house and we knit, like not so much in the summertime, but in the cooler weather.
Mm.
And in fact, in the cooler weather, we try to knit on Friday afternoon after lunch. There's a third. Well, my sister sometimes, and then there's a third lunch person that would come to knit.
And I know that you said that you love the ocean.
I do like the ocean.
Do you like it to go to the beach often?
I don't go often. I'd like to go more often than I do.
Yeah.
And there again, that's not always something I feel like doing by myself.
Yeah.
I do like the ocean.
Yeah,
I like to live at the ocean.
Well, we're super close. That's one of the good things about being here.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the next section is kind of about these critical life events. So a critical life event is anything that you think shape who you are as a person. And I guess I just want to talk about what are some of those events that you think you've had that shape who you are.
Well, I don't know as my father's death. Well, my father's death changed my life in that my sister and we then felt responsible for my mother. And my mother was in good health when my dad died. It wasn't that we had to actually take physical care of her. But, for instance, my dad was still working when he was taken ill. And he worked for the water company in Bedford. And so he had a supervisory job, so he needed to be nearby. So they lived in a company house. So once my dad died, my mom had to leave that house. She couldn't. I mean, they didn't say you got to go tomorrow or anything, and fortunately, they owned a house that was going to be their retirement home, which is where I currently live. So anyway, we had to round up the family and get together and move her to her retirement house. And just an example of that is that her rental house was furnished with all her own furniture, and so was the retirement house. So here we are with with one house with two furnitures in it. So that took some, figuring out. But anyway, so that was kind of changed it a little bit. And then my mom lived there she lived for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years after Dad. And the property was jointly left to my sister and I. And my sister lived in the neighboring community, and her children were established in school, and she did not want to move. And I lived the next town over in the opposite direction in a rental house. So I was the obvious one to move in there. Mm-hmm. So I did, and I've been there ever since, and that was in 1985. For a fun thing, in 1985, I took my sister's 2 children to Disney, which was a wonderful thing. They were a good age for that. They were 11 and 14.
Oh, yeah.
We had such a good time. Anyway, I have been married 3 times. I was divorced the first time. my second husband died suddenly of a cerebral aneurysm when he was not quite 40. And then I was married for the third time, and that was good, very good. And we traveled across the country on a motorcycle for 10 years. And then we had to give that up because of some health reasons. And so I guess maybe the other thing that sort of changed both of our lives was when we had to give up the motorcycle. I mean, that wasn't the end of the world, for goodness sake. Well, I know that. But, it was a big change. And I think it was hard for my husband to not be able to do that anymore. And so anyway, life went on, and that was good. And then in 2011, I had a major orthopedic injury. I fell on the ice, and I fractured my femur, not too far above the knee, and on Christmas Eve, and had surgery on Christmas Day, and was at a non-weight-bearing status on that leg for 4 months. Talk about changing your life.
Yeah.
With a full-length metal brace. Oh my God, Catherine. But anyway, it finally healed, and I got rid of the brace, and it was good. It's good. I have used the cane ever since then, and I've had knee replacements. I've had a hip replacement. I've had more orthopedic stuff than anybody needs. I probably couldn't get on an airplane if my life depended on it without a note from somebody.
Without going off in there. All the metal detectors.
Oh, exactly.
I feel like every time I go off in the metal detectors, I had a shoulder injury, so they have to put a screw in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And so every time I go
It's just that one screw does it?
And it does it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Or sometimes like I'll forget to take off my watch or something, because I always wear a watch.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll forget that. Or glasses too.
Yeah.
So sometimes the little screws in the glasses will make it go off. I'm like, you can see clearly that I'm wearing glasses. I'm like, I need you to take off your glasses. I'm like, well, I'm blind without these. I really can't see.
I'm sure those metal detectors are like everything else. They probably become so much more sophisticated. We were in Washington, D.C., and this was, my husband had some hardware in an ankle, but this was before this happened. And we were in Washington, D.C., and he set off the metal detector, and he had no, taking everything out of his pockets. And 2 days prior to that, he had a thallium treadmill where they inject something to do a treadmill and make your heart beat faster, and that residual set that off. That's what it was. Weird.
That is weird.
But anyway, so that's pretty much the life-changing thing.
Life-changing events. There's a pretty decent amount of them there. So the next section this goes off of that critical event. So what period in your life did you feel like that you were doing your best? And then vice versa. When did you feel like you were doing your worst?
Period in my life was I doing my best? Probably my beginning years at the hospital in Stanford when I was doing patient care nursing, which is just exactly what I wanted to do. Patient care with some limited, some part-time supervision. Probably that's about the best time. And the worst time was after that big injury, I think, because by this time I was sort of semi a caregiver for my husband. So my husband's daughter came from North Dakota and stayed with us for 2 or 3 weeks after I got out of the hospital. And then I had somebody from a home agency came a couple times a week until I could. So I think the recovery from that big fracture was probably the worst time.
you consider your biggest success in life?
My biggest success in life?
Yeah. That's a real deep question there. I don't know. This is what they tell us to ask. I don't understand it most of the time. I'm like, I don't know. That was a deep question. You can go in really deep on it.
Well, I grew up wanting to be in a helping profession. So maybe my biggest accomplishment was that I did become a nurse and I did do what I grew up wanting to do. Unfortunately, a lot of people never get to do what they grew up wanting to do because sometimes it wasn't realistic. But anyway.
That was one of the main reasons why I
Yeah,
chose the
yeah,
healthcare profession.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
help people really.
Yeah.
That's what really drew me to it.
Yeah, and OT has become just great. I mean, as my big injury was 7, 8 years ago, but OT was most helpful, helped me figure out, how to get in and out of the shower and keep that leg dry and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was good.
Normally, I'm very neat, but that's just not okay. So the next section of this is called the narrative slope, and it just describes like the timeline and describes where you were like in years in your life. So as you can see, it goes through 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and then what I want you to do is chart where you were at those years. So like ups versus downs, and then you can like explain a little bit to me if that is okay with you.
So you want to know 10 years ago?
When you were 10 years old. So from like 0.
Oh, how old I was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like that.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
versus like if you were at 10 years old and you had a bad breakup with your friend or something like that, like would that be a down, or would like what you remember most from those years?
there wasn't any down for, I think at age 10, and ups at age 10 was, well, I was in school doing well. I know that because I skipped a grade somewhere in there.
Oh, wow.
And at age 20, I was in nursing school, which of course was where I wanted to be.
Mhm.
But down, I went to school in Portland, and before I went there, I couldn't wait to live in Portland. But after I got there, so at age 20, I was anxious to graduate and be out of Portland, where there was no grass to sit on or anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Portland makes me anxious sometimes too. I'm like, oh God.
And at age 30, let's see, that would have been 1968. I was married for the first time. Not a good marriage. I got married because I thought it was the thing to do. And I don't know about up then. At age 40, the downside was I had recently lost my husband. But it was the second one, not this bad one. And at age 40, good time, well, recently lost him a good time. Let's see, 1978. I was, well, I guess it was an up time because I was at age 40, I'll make a little line over here, able to adjust to being alone. And that was okay. And at 50, oh, the up was motorcycle trips. I've been in each of the 48 states on the back of a motorcycle. And the downside of that was, well, there wasn't really much of any.
What was your favorite state?
Oh, Utah and Colorado. And I would love to go back to the Grand Canyon, which was Arizona.
Yeah. I've always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. We never.
I've been to the Grand Canyon 3 times, but I'd go again.
Yeah.
If somebody said, today you want to go, tomorrow I'd go. At 60, nothing particularly, really. Life was pretty good. At 70, let's see, 70 would have been, let's see, 38, 70. The downside of that was, I'm going to put my husband's name here, was Al's poor health. The upside was I was a good caregiver. And at 80, believe it or not, was last year, and I had a big surprise birthday party with 35 or 40 people.
Wow.
And the downside, well, fortunately, there's not a lot. You know, but I guess the downside along in here particularly is my struggle with poor balance. And I'm a high fall risk because of it. Mm. And I fell about a month ago, but fortunately I didn't break anything. What's that?
That was perfect.
I don't know perfect. But...
well, hey, it's really good. Okay, so that's definitely really good. Let's see here. Anything that I want to add on here? No, you answered pretty.
Not bad.
You did a really good job explaining. I don't really have any questions along that, so that's good. So there's 2 more questions.
Okay.
And then we can be done. I know that you probably just want to go to the beach or something.
No, I'm fine. You know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to Old Orchard Beach to see the fireworks.
Awesome.
I love fireworks.
I love fireworks too. So please share, what would you like to be doing a month from now?
I would like to be, a month from now is August. I would like to be staying at the beach, but that's not going to happen. I would like to continue my reasonable health and be self-sufficient and able to care for myself. Continue to care for myself. And, give whatever I need to my family.
And then also how about a year from now?
Well, at the risk of being boring, probably about the same thing.
Good goals.
Oh, no, this was great. I'm glad I agree that I wanted to do it. It was great.
Yeah. So this is the last part. This is a new thing. We didn't have to do this with the client actors, so this is interesting. So relating back to those goals that
Yeah.
were just talking about, what steps do you think you can take to do those things?
Well, uh, well, continue my physical health, my physical therapy program, which of course won't last forever. And continue when that's done to with daily exercise so I can maintain my mobility and my strength. Because and you probably don't want to, it's going to record it anyway, but probably like 95% of the rest of the world, I hope to drop dead someday and not have any, but that's not in my plan, so.
Okay, so the last thing is there just anything else that you want to talk about? Anything else you'd like to share that would help me get to know you a little bit better?
No, I don't think so. Every once in a while, I say to my sister, "Do you think we grew up in a dysfunctional family?" No, I don't think so, she said. I'll just tell you a little bit about my early family. My sister and I, dad and mom, my mother was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't work outside the home. And she was a wonderful cook. She taught us to cook. She taught us to sew. And so I think we had a good childhood. We were 4 years apart, which is, I think, if we're very close today, but as kids, I was 4 years older, and she wanted to do everything I did, and that wasn't always possible. So that could be a problem. But
yeah.
So
me and my sister are 7 years apart.
You're 7 years apart. Yeah, that's a big gap.
Yeah. And when we were younger, I was like, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, go away. Like, stop.
So is she the younger one?
Yeah. So I'm 7 years older than her, and I don't have anything to do with her. And now, like,
Is it better now?
As we're getting closer in age, yeah, but she's still like an annoying little brat. she's only 14, so like she's.
I was just gonna say, how old is she? Yeah,
definitely like still.
Yeah, she's still.
I'm too cool for school type of.
Yeah, the annoying.
Person, and
she's still at the annoying brat age.
Yeah. So I'm like, calm down. But I think like we've definitely gotten closer.
Yeah.
We've always shared the same room.
Yeah.
So that has always been a struggle.
Yeah, we did that too. Yeah. We had twin beds, and I would be coming home for the weekend, like from nursing school. So my mom would say to Jeannie, "Okay, you need to clean off the other bed there. Your sister needs to sleep there tonight. You can't have it piled up with all your clothes for the whole week."
Yeah. Me and my little sister Emily, we have bunk beds, and so like when I'm away at school, she gets the bottom bunk, and then when I come home now, I have to sleep on the top bunk. So I'm like, we need a better bed than this, because every time I wake up, I hit my head on the ceiling.
Oh, I bet you do.
So I keep telling my parents about it and trying to get us a better bed, but they're like, "You're never here anyway." So, but yeah, eventually I'd like to move home, I guess, or be like closer to my family.
Yes.
My family lives in Rhode Island, so.
Oh yeah.
So I'm
a
little bit far away, probably about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a little closer.
A little closer, yeah. So when you get done school, you will probably locate nearer them.
I'm hoping maybe I might move in with them for a couple years.
Yeah.
Get
a
some
start.
loans.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of loans.
Yeah.
But that's the hope. At least we'll see how it goes. If
I was fortunate. I had a scholarship that paid for my nursing education, and it came from the old from the auxiliary from the old hospital here in Biddeford. And the only thing I had to do around that was I had to go back there and work for a year after I graduated. At the same beginning pay everybody got. And so I did that and was there for 4 more years. And then, like I told you, I went to Stanford. So I didn't have any student loans. I was lucky. And I can remember, in fact, Jeannie and I were just talking about this recently. Dad always told us, find out what you want to do and find a job and keep it, jump around from job to job to job. So like I told you, I was a lot of years in Stanford. My sister didn't go on to formal college, but she started working in the insurance industry and worked her way up and did a tremendous job and found a job and kept it. She worked for the same insurance company out of Portland for years. And in 2003, I should have listed that somewhere there, but I didn't. In 2003, she had a multi-trauma accident from which she was not expected to live. And she was at Maine Medical Center in a medically induced coma for 2 months. And then she was at New England Rehab for 2 months before she had multiple injuries. And we were always at the time and have been ever since that she didn't have a head injury. So that was a good thing. She recovered from all those other things. But anyway.
Okay, well, we went through all of our questions.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got for you. And I just
Okay.
want to say thank you so much for
You're,
letting me talk to you.
you're welcome. I think it was good.